So what we've done here is, and this hopefully will be useful for you as you're out talking to constituents. If someone were to call you or ask you exactly where we're at, this should be helpful. Something you could take with you. When we had originally talked to them back in February, they had said that the majority of that $20 million, in fact, I think it was $17 million, was additional contingency. There are still a lot of unknowns, and there isn't necessarily a level of comfort with the Corps on certain things that could be found out through geotechnical investigations and those types of things.
As they start working through their process, the last thing that they can ever afford to do is go to Congress with an authorization and then end up higher. Right. So it appears to me, again, not being intimately involved with their cost estimating, that every time this thing moves up the ladder, somebody is being very cautious. And most of the cost contingency, as I understand it, is due to their concern over excavation costs and rock.
Bedrock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Corps has done a lot of significant work in this project. We have gotten to the point where we're at now because the Corps has done a lot of detailed study of the different alternatives to try and lower the flood risk in the city of Findlay, in the Blanchard River watershed. So when we say we want to go a different path, it's not that we're dumping the Corps and starting over again. So we're going to utilize all of that information that we've gleaned to date to hand off to a consultant, hopefully, and be able to utilize that to design the channel. Because I think some people think, well, we're going to have to start all over and spend money again. It's like, well, we're going to have to spend money on the design of the channel, but we know that the preferred alternative is a diversion channel, and we've gotten to that point because of all the work and analysis that's been done by the Corps to this point. So choice number one is we take the information that we've been given by the Corps that's been done over the last 7 or 8 years, and we hand that off and package it nicely to the design consultant. The second option that the Corps has told us, or they call them course of action. So the second course of action is they have a new methodology that they'd like to get approval for from the different levels within the Corps. And basically what that is it utilizes past peak flows in the Blanchard, which show an increase in intensity and frequency for the different storm events. This is, again, nothing really new. I think the people in Findlay and Hancock County know that our flooding events are becoming more and more frequent and more intense. So they're going to utilize past data to be able to analyze that methodology, or use that methodology to analyze the project to derive more benefits. And they believe that they can get the BCR, the benefit cost ratio, to above 1 if we were to do that. But no guarantee that it'll hit 2. And we'll kind of talk about that as we move through here. But that was course of action 2.
In my circle, you're still hearing, I want to know if it was discussed, you're still hearing dredge, clean, widen the river. That's people that I have coffee with and deal with. That's the constant answer to the flooding problem. Was that at least addressed? And if it was, what did the Corps say? Or would there be any benefit, no benefit, or was it discussed?
So all of those alternatives, so those all are alternatives that were considered along with the diversion channel, along with flood walls and levees. And those alternatives were examined by the Corps for cost effectiveness and the actual ability to carry them out. And I think Paul can talk about the value of cleaning the river, dredging the river. EPA is not going to allow us to dredge the river. So there are certain regulatory...
You've heard it too, I'm sure.
Sure.
To some people, that's the answer.
Right. So there are certain regulatory hurdles that we just can't overcome to accomplish some of that.
I think it's a good question, because there is validity to the statement when people say, well, cleaning the river would help. There's no doubt it would. But when you take the bottom of that channel and take out 2 feet of sediment, you're working with this kind of width. And the Blanchard, when you look at the aerial photograph, So you're impacting the bottom of the channel by dredging, and you really need to carry a significantly larger amount of flow than that, which is why the diversion channel works, because it changes the timing on the peaks that hit downtown.
So design of the project, if we went down with the Corps, would take another 2+ years for design of the project. We have to, the reason why you would go down this path is because you're crossing your fingers and hoping that our project would rate high enough to achieve a status whereby the federal government would pay a significant portion of the project. I do not see that happening with our particular project, at least over the last 4 years, almost 5 years now. It has become painfully obvious to me that once we received that chief's report, that if we were going to get this project done, we would have to do it on our own.
Jeanette, I'm sure it comes up at his coffee group that I've heard a number of times is, how do we justify to the public and answer their criticism about the amount of money that's been spent year to date and the amount of time it's taken to just get to this point?
Yes, the amount of money is significant, but when you hear people say, we've spent $9 million and we have nothing to show for it, that's grandstanding.
Right.
And it's not true. It's impossible for me to say, oh yeah, we're right on schedule and it hasn't taken any longer than I expected. I can't say that, but would I say that, oh, if we wouldn't have been with the Corps, we would have had this thing built by now? I doubt it.